Hi, I'm Bill from CJ Pony Parts. The EcoBoost Mustang is definitely one of the hottest things on the market right now. With a few well-chosen modifications, these cars can see a nice boost in horsepower and torque. With heavily modified versions running in the mid-10s and a quarter, the potential for this engine is pretty much limitless. If you're an EcoBoost Mustang and looking to make a little more horsepower and torque, one of the easiest ways to do so is with a high-quality cold air kit. So today we're going to bump up the horsepower on our 2015 EcoBoost Mustang by installing this cold air kit from Roush Performance. This Roush Performance kit is going to provide everything necessary to add horsepower and torque to your 2015 through 2016 EcoBoost Mustang with no aftermarket tuning required. The kit was designed by Roush to be as least restrictive as possible. Roush claims 74% less restriction than the factory cold air intake. What that's going to mean is better throttle response and more horsepower and torque. Roush is claiming gains of up to 29 horsepower and 27 foot-pound of torque just by installing the cold air kit with no tuning required. The kit includes this airbox, which is going to seal against the hood of your EcoBoost, and this high-flow filter, which is washable and reusable and does not require oil. For this installation, you'll need a 1/4-inch ratchet, 7mm socket, 8mm socket, 10mm socket, a short extension, needle nose pliers, and scissors. The nice thing with the cold air kit is you're going to feel the difference almost immediately, and it's pretty much an easy installation almost anybody can do themselves. The first step is to remove our factory components. We're going to start by disconnecting our factory cold air kit at the turbo. And just loosen up the clamp. The clamp's actually attached to the hose, so don't worry about it coming off. The next two things to disconnect are going to be the PCV, and from the factory here, you're going to have a bypass hose. This is going to go from the blow-off valve and recirculate the air back through. A while ago, we removed this hose. We just have our blow-off valve venting to the atmosphere for now, so we plugged this off. If you do have this hose, though, there'll be a small clamp on the side. Instead of leaving those pliers, you can pop it right off. The PCV, a little gray connector here. Push against that and lift the hose off. And we'll disconnect the IAT sensor. So be pushing on the plug, pull that off, and also make sure you pop the harness off of the airbox. Now the last step before we can remove the cold air intake is to remove this bolt that holds the airbox to the fender. Okay, with everything disconnected, we can lift up and remove our airbox. There's a few pieces we're going to need from our factory airbox. We're going to remove the rubber grommet at the bottom here, this one up top here, and the grommet and steel insert over here. Then lastly, grab the IAT sensor, turning it counterclockwise and pulling it out. Now we're going to install the grommets and bushings we removed onto our Roush airbox. Start with this one right here. With the metal inserts, we go in this hole on the end. The rubber in first, then you can install the metal insert. And lastly, the small one goes here at the bottom. Next, we'll install the inlet onto the front of the Roush airbox, and we're going to install the seal on the top. We'll just pop into place. Now we'll install the seal, which is held on by all these small clips. This seal is going to fit multiple applications, so you may have to just trim the end once it's installed. Our airbox is ready. Before we can install the airbox, you want to remove these 3 clips, because this harness is not going to reach the new location. To do that, simply shimmy on these clips and they'll pop off. That'll give us some more slack, so it'll reach. Now we can install our Roush airbox down in the stock location here. Make sure it's in the stock spots. We're going to reinstall the stock bolt to hold it in place. Next, we can install the filter tube and filter into the airbox. You want to make sure this temperature boss is facing forward, and when the filter is connected to this tube, the arrow is facing down. Rotate the clamp however you have to make sure you can reach it once it's in the box. Put the filter and tube assembly down into place and bolt it down with the supplied hardware. Now reinstall the IAT sensor. And fish the wiring harness over to it. The harness will be a tight fit, so get it down under the airbox kind of as far as you can, and it will reach. Or slide the clamp off to the side, make it a little bit cleaner looking, and we'll tighten it down. Now we're going to install the coupler that goes on the cold air kit to connect to our turbo. It has a step down built into it to work with the factory turbo, but you can replace this with a straight hose if you did go to a larger turbo in the future. Make sure you orient the hose clamps in a way that you can get to the back one when it is on the car. And we're ready to install the air tube on the car. I'll bring the tube carefully over into place. Connect on the turbo side, and also connect to our airbox. We'll tighten the clamp up on the airbox side. And do the same thing on the turbo side. Now the last step is to connect the PCV hose, which will just snap into place. And then connect the bypass hose if you're still running it, and your installation is finished. Oh, fire it up, check for leaks. More importantly though, let's see how it sounds. Obviously you can hear our blow off valve a lot more, but the Roush definitely sounds good. You can hear it drawing a lot of air in. Like all Roush Performance parts, the fit and finish is OE quality and it looks great under the hood. We're hoping to get this car back on the dyno soon, and we'll see what kind of power gains we're actually getting out of our cold air kit. Overall, the installation is pretty straightforward. It should probably take you around an hour. You'll be back on the road in no time.